Sup guys, Hooky Bird here, bringing you the Noob's Guide to Legendary for the 10th mission in the Halo 2 campaign, Gravemind.
What is that?
I am a monument to all your sins.
Relax. I'd rather not piss this thing off.
Demon. This one is machine and nerve, and has its mind concluded. This one is but flesh and faith, and is the more deluded.
Kill me or release me, parasite. But do not waste my time with talk.
There is much talk, and I have listened through rock and metal and time. Now I shall talk, and you shall listen.
Greetings! I am 2401 Penitent Tangent. I am the monitor of Installation 05.
And I am the Prophet of Regret, Counselor Most High, Hierarch of the Covenant.
A reclaimer? Here? At last! We have much to do! This facility must be activated if we are to control this outbreak!
Stay where you are! Nothing can be done until my sermon is complete!
Not true. This installation has a successful utilization record of 1.2 trillion simulated and 1 actual. It is ready to fire on demand.
Of all the objects our lords left behind, there are none so worthless as these oracles. They know nothing of the great journey!
And you know nothing about containment. You have demonstrated complete disregard for even the most basic protocols.
This one's containment. And this one's great journey are the same. Your prophets have promised you freedom from a doomed existence, but you will find no salvation on this ring. Those who built this place knew what they wrought. Do not mistake their intent, or all will perish as they did before.
This thing is right. Halo is a weapon. Your prophets are making a big mistake.
Your ignorance already destroyed one of the sacred rings, demon. It shall not harm another.
If you will not hear the truth, then I will show it to you. There is still time to stop the key from turning, but first it must be found. You will search one likely spot, and you will search another. Fate had us meet as foes, but this ring will make us brothers.
We are, all of us, gravely concerned. The release of the parasite was unexpected, unfortunate, but there is no need to panic. In truth, this is a time to rejoice. A moment that all the Covenant should savor. For the sacred icon has been found. With it, our path is clear, our entry into the divine beyond guaranteed. The great journey is nigh, and nothing, not even the flood, can stop it.
Ooh.
Kill the demon!
Immediately turn around, grab the other needler, and hide behind this pillar.
Brutes! The faster you can kill those brutes, the better.
One of the brutes is going to hang back, the other one's going to move up to this other pillar to try to flush you out of cover, so get close and pump him full of needles. It takes at least 7.
They don't have shield generators, but take them out before... It's berserking!
Now this is one of two little tricks that is going to make this council chamber room survivable on Legendary. When a brute goes berserk, he cannot get you if you stand on top of one of these little pedestals. The other trick that makes this survivable on Legendary is to use those pedestals to hop up here where you actually have some decent cover rather than being surrounded in the middle of a room. Now then, with both brutes disposed of, you're going to have 4 grunts that re-enter the room from the various locked doors, so drop 1 needler up there, grab 2 brute plasma rifles from the brutes you just killed, use cover until you get close, and then blast the hell out of them.
The demon has infiltrated the council chamber. Protect the hierarchs. Seal the exits.
Oh, I don't think so.
After each wave, you need to retreat to the top of these seats where you drop the other needler. There's going to be 6 waves on Legendary. That was the first, here comes the second. There's actually quite a bit of time between the first and second waves in order for you to get up here and take some cover. Waves 2 and 3 are going to be almost identical to the first one, in that it's going to be 2 brutes, each leading a squad of 2 grunts, which makes for 2 brutes and 4 grunts. Now, of those 2 brutes, usually what happens is one has a carbine, and the other will carry a plasma rifle. You need to get your hands on the carbine, which, of course, is easier said than done. So, until you have a carbine, your best bet is to try to blast the grunts with the dual plasma rifles and to kill the 2 brutes with the 2 needlers. This can be very frustrating and requires a lot of patience if you're getting shot up by that carbine. If your shields do go down, which they probably will, don't even try to keep fighting. The brute with the carbine doesn't even need to hit you in the head to kill you with 1 shot. So at this point, I'm kind of fed up with that carbine, so I pull out the 2 needlers to try to deal with him. Now, killing the brutes with the needlers from this range can be very difficult. As you can see, the volley of needles that I fired over at that brute didn't do shit. He evaded most of them, and the ones that did connect didn't super detonate, so they basically ended up doing no damage. The only advice I can give for when the brutes evade the needles is to try to lead them with the needler. Yes, the needles will home in, but if you fire in front of them in the direction that they're moving, you have a much better chance of them connecting and super detonating for the kill. As a side note here, usually the second brute will go berserk after the first one is killed, but I think he didn't do that this time simply because he was too far away from the other one. Now then, we're going to use a little understanding of how this fight works in order to benefit ourselves. So there are 6 waves, but the next wave does not appear until every single enemy in the wave before it is killed. So that means you can leave a grunt or a berserk brute alive while you scavenge around for a carbine and or needler ammo. Now, that's what I was trying to do there with the grunts. Unfortunately, the last grunt killed himself with his own plasma grenade, so here I am hiding for my life with 2 needlers and no carbine. In case you've lost track, this is wave 3 and it is completely identical to wave 2. So I'm going to deal with it in exactly the same way. Now, normally I would have a carbine by this point, but because the last grunt in wave 2 killed himself with his own plasma grenade, I wasn't able to keep him alive in order to look around for the carbine dropped by the brute in the last wave. I had to retreat up here before I got shot to pieces by the enemies in wave 3, and now I don't have a carbine. But this is exactly what I wanted to happen. I've killed 1 brute with the needlers, and the other one has gone berserk, so I can just leave him alive while I look around for a carbine and needler ammo after I dispose of the grunts. This, of course, is easier said than done without a carbine, but dual plasma rifles will eventually get the job done. The needles from the Needlers are of course annoying, and they're much more dangerous than the plasma pistols. So at this point, the only enemy in Wave 3 that is still alive is that Berserk Brute. And I'm just going to hop on top of this pedestal while I look around the room for the carbine, and he just can't get me. Shut up, you're annoying. Okay, mission accomplished. I have acquired a carbine. Now the grunts are pretty much no longer a threat. The only thing I need now is some Needler ammo, and then I'll be all set to kill this brute and tackle Wave 4. On the one hand, that's kind of funny how the brute killed himself by charging into the pillar. On the other hand, I'm not where I want to be.
Watch out for the captain. It's got a brute shot.
Now, Wave 4 is the most dangerous and the most difficult because it has the brute with the brute shot, so the first thing you want to do is fill him full of needles. Then with that taken care of, pick off the grunts with the carbine, and then use either the Needler or the carbine to take out the rest of the brutes. Now at some point in this wave, 2 brutes are going to spawn up here or on the other side of the room. It's completely random where they spawn. This is worst case scenario where they both spawn on the same side that you're on. What usually happens is one will spawn on each side, and then of course best case scenario is where they both spawn on the opposite side of the room. So if they spawn on the side of the room that you're on, fill them full of needles. If they spawn on the opposite side of the room, pick them off with the carbine. This is Wave 5. It is identical to Waves 2, 3, and 6, except now I've got a carbine instead of dual plasma rifles. So you can pick off the grunts in one headshot, and then you can either pick off the brutes with the carbine, or pump them full of needles. If you decide to use the carbine to take out the brutes, it takes a couple shots to knock off their helmets, and then one headshot to kill them. But from this range, landing a headshot against a brute is easier said than done. For the most part, shooting a brute with a carbine anywhere other than his head is pretty much a waste of ammo, especially on Legendary. There we go, that's exactly what I wanted. All 4 grunts are dead. One of the 2 brutes is dead, and the other one has gone berserk, so I'm going to use this opportunity to look for carbine ammo, needler ammo, and some plasma grenades. Just keep an eye on your motion tracker and hop up on one of these pedestals if he gets close. Then when you want to kill him, just wait for him to get close and pump him full of needles. And it should go without saying that you immediately need to retreat up here in anticipation of the next wave. This is the 6th and final wave of this council chamber area, and it is identical to the 5th wave, which we just dealt with. So I'm going to deal with it in the exact same way. I just happen to be on the other side of the room.
Put me down on one of the pedestals near the door. That prophet, Truth, he has the index. You've got to take it from him. Let me get these doors. Go. It'll be easier to track Truth if I stay in the network.
When these doors open, have your carbine at the ready and kill the 4 grunts with headshots. Usually 1 or 2 will get away from you, but you can mop them up later. Now, I found that it was much easier to use the dual needlers to take out the grunt on the turret at the top of this room, rather than to use the carbine or a plasma grenade. There's also some nice cover by this pillar in the center of the room, and then you can either use the needlers or the carbine to take out the 2 brutes, both of which will have carbines, and the rest of the grunts. Now, one of the things that I hate about the Halo 2 brutes is that plasma grenades are more or less useless unless you stick them. So only use your plasma grenades if you're close enough to stick them, or to take out the grunts, which is what I was doing there. Now, the trick that I used in the council chamber to avoid berserk brutes, where I jump up on the pedestal where they can't get me, only really works for that section of the game. In all other situations, the best way to deal with berserk brutes is to jump over them as they charge you. This might be difficult to get used to because it's more instinctive to jump back to jump away from them, but it really doesn't work like that.
Right this way.
Have your 2 needlers ready and fill these 2 honor guards full of needles. Usually when you kill the first one, the second one will go berserk. Once you've dealt with them, take out the rest of the brutes and the 2 jackals with the carbine. If any of the brutes go berserk, you can either use a plasma grenade or the 2 needlers. Now, killing a berserk brute with a carbine headshot is something that I'll do occasionally, but only even attempt it if he's far enough away such that you'll have time to switch to another weapon if it's not successful. Once you take out the initial wave of enemies, there's going to be a bunch of grunts and brutes that come up the grav lift. The grunts are going to set up plasma turrets, and as for the brutes, one of them is going to have a brute shot, the rest are going to have plasma rifles and carbines. The best way to kill the brute with the brute shot is to actually move out of cover, because most of the time when you get hit by a brute shot, it's actually splash damage rather than a direct hit. The brute shot actually flies pretty slowly and is pretty easy to dodge. It just has massive splash damage. There's a carbine dispenser over here that you can use at any point during that fight if you're running low on carbine ammo. Once everything's dead, I like to swap out whatever's left of my needler ammo for the captain's brute shot, as well as to top off my carbine ammo from the dispenser over here.
Truth is moving through the lower levels of the tower. I'll reverse this grav lift. Drop down, try to cut him off. It's safe, really. Just step in.
There's a jackal sniper at the bottom of this lift, which is why I picked up the brute shot. Usually it only comes with 3 shots and no extra, and that's usually all it's going to take. There's also going to be 2 grunts that tend to be grenade happy, so just avoid the grenades and take them out with headshots from the carbine. You should also swap out the empty brute shot for the Jackal Sniper's beam rifle. There's not much sense carrying around an empty weapon.
Reinforce all approaches to the holding pens. Slay the demon on sight.
They're beefing up their patrols. Stay sharp.
You can let these jackals run past, but if you catch their attention, they'll stand and fight, but it's pretty easy to take them out with headshots from the carbine. The easiest way to tackle this next room is going to be to use the beam rifle you just picked up and either kill the brute with it or use it to knock off his helmet and then switch to the carbine to kill him with a headshot. If he slips into cover like this, you can use a grenade, but remember, it's only going to be effective if the grenade actually sticks to him. Then once the brute is dead, you can move into the room with your beam rifle and look for any other jackals that are still alive. There's almost always going to be a jackal back here doing I don't know what, but you can either take him out with a grenade or the carbine or some melee attacks. Once he's dead, grab the 2 Needlers from the crate and then kill the brute that's going to be trying to hunt you down. As for the rest of the enemies in the room, which is going to consist of 1 brute and a whole bunch of grunts that are searching for you, you should be able to take them all out with the 2 Needlers, or if you want, you can use the carbine to headshot the grunts. Use this left side of the room to stay in cover as you get closer to the brute until you're close enough to use the 2 Needlers. You can top off your carbine ammo from the crate over here.
Wait a minute. I'm reading Marine IFF transponders. The signals are originating somewhere below your position.
Try to tap out as many of the grunts in this room as you can, but if you get spotted by one of the brutes like I did, just retreat back through the doorway. Now, when you do that, there's going to be a couple jackals that come through this door, so just toss a grenade and then use the carbine to stun them, so that they stay on top of the grenade as it goes off. Then with that taken care of, go back for your beam rifle. You can use the beam rifle to kill one of the 2 brutes, and usually the other one is going to go berserk. And this is a textbook example of how to deal with the berserk brute. Stick him, jump over him, he explodes, and you move on. With the 2 brutes dead, there's nothing left but grunts, and they're easy prey for the carbine. Just make sure you use some cover so you don't find yourself too full of needles.
There's another lift in the next room.
Use your carbine to kill the 2 jackals in this room. There's going to be one on the left and one on the right. Then once they're dead, stick the brutes that are coming up the gravity lift in the center of the room. Obviously I meant to stick that brute there, but I missed. Next, shoot this brute in this doorway over here before he can really make it into the room. And that's about all you're going to be able to do before you need to retreat back for your 2 Needlers. Then take out the rest of the brutes with the 2 Needlers like I do here. There's even more ammo in the dispenser over by where you shot the first jackal. getting close enough to the brutes so that enough needles connect in order to super detonate is actually kind of tricky. Just use some cover like I show here. Then with the room cleared, stock up on carbine ammo, plasma grenades, and needler ammo, and then proceed to the grav lift. Now, while there is a beam rifle dispenser in this room, I recommend the 2 needlers just because of some Halo 2 bullshit that sometimes happens.
Here, Chief, jump in.
Of Marines in this detention block. I'll zero their locations. You neutralize the guards. Quietly.
Now, it's pretty clear that you're meant to take out this entire area by tapping out everything, but it's also pretty clear that the devs didn't playtest this on Legendary, because you get spotted almost every time. So when that happens, what you need to do is jump down here to the 2nd level like I did, and then if you take cover over here, you should be able to take them all out with the carbine. Now, the reason I recommended the dual needlers over the beam rifle is because sometimes, although rarely, the 2 brutes are going to be aware of your presence as you're coming down the lift before you have control of your movement. And so the only way to take them out in order to survive is going to be to fill them full of needles. If you have a beam rifle, you're going to be shit out of luck if that happens. This is another perfect example of how to deal with a berserk brute. He charges me, I stick him, jump over him, he explodes, I move on.
Come to the middle level, Chief. The Marines are just inside. Careful of the guards.
Once the initial wave of Covenant that was here has been taken out, Cortana's going to send you to either the middle or lower level, and then more Covenant are going to spawn from the various doors in the area. Just hold your position and take them all out with the carbine. Well, that's one way to kill a jackal. If you're headed for the middle level, just head over here and take out this brute with the carbine. Again, move out of cover so that you don't get hit by the splash damage from the brute shot. If you're headed to the lower level, you're probably going to have some enemies on the lower level to take out. Then when you're ready, grab his brute shot and do the following 3 actions. Melee the jackal, shoot the other jackal 3 times until he's dead, and then stick the brute. Now, I missed my grenade stick, and it's going to be a lot easier if you actually stick him and take him out, but even if you miss, you should be able to get him with the carbine. Then top off your brute shot ammo.
Listen up, Marines. The Chief's hunting a prophet, and you're gonna help him kill it.
Affirmative.
One more group of Marines to go, Chief.
This is probably one of the harder fights in the mission and in the game, especially if you want to keep the Marines alive. The way I do it is I like to fight it over by the center of the room by the grav lifts with the carbine and the brute shot.
Chief, come to the lower level. 4 guards, get ready.
So you can see there's a wave of Covenant over there, over by the door that you just exited from, and you don't want to be anywhere near them, which is why I like to take up the position by the gravity lift. With that wave taken out, now the major threat becomes the brutes on the lower level that have brute shots. I like to deal with them either with the brute shot or the carbine, and usually when you kill the first one, the second one's gonna go berserk. Which is nice because it means you don't have any more brute shot blasts coming your way. Then to deal with the jackals, I'll just use either the carbine or some grenades.
Look out!
Brute shot works too if he's in cover. You have a couple options of what you want to do with the last brute. You can either pick up some needlers from the dispenser there, or use the brute shot from up here. This holding area on the lower level where the Marines are is actually a lot easier to deal with than the one on the middle level, because instead of a brute plus jackals, it's a patrolling brute plus sleeping grunts. So assassinate the brute and then tap out the grunts.
That's all of the Marines, Chief. Good work.
One of the Marines that you rescue here is actually going to pick up a plasma pistol, which is actually pretty useless since he never uses the overcharged shot. So just swap that out for a brute plasma rifle and then retrieve your brute shot.
Grav lift.
Then when you get the checkpoint, all hell's gonna break loose again. Doors are gonna open, enemies are gonna spawn, and you're gonna find yourself swamped. Once again, I like to take up a position over by the gravity lift and melee grunts and brutes as they come down the lift with the brute shot. And then of course for the brutes, I'll toss in a plasma grenade. This is one of those bizarre situations in Halo 2 where it just looks like something technical went wrong. Because if you're on the lower or middle level when Cortana says that, this entire group will crash down to the bottom of this lift and they'll already be dead.
The lift is clear. Step on in.
So, whatever, I'll take it. Top off your brute shot ammo from the crate, and then follow your Marines up the lift.
Fear not, my brothers, the sacred icon is secure. It was Tartarus and his brutes who took the icon from them. For that they have our thanks.
Excellent. Truth is broadcasting on the move. It'll make him much easier to track.
How easy or difficult these next few encounters are going to be depends on how many Marines you manage to save. For this part, take out the elite with the grenade stick, the drones should mop up the other elites, and then mop up the drones with the brute shot.
Hell yeah!
The Marines will actually be extremely helpful with their plasma rifles. Having survived that ambush, grab dual plasma rifles for yourself from this crate over here. Swap out the carbine for them and hang on to the brute shot. Take out the drones and the elites in this area with the dual plasma rifles you just picked up. Once again, the Marines are going to be extremely helpful with their plasma rifles and carbines.
Yeah!
If any of the brutes go berserk like this, just use the brute shot or the brute shot melee attack. As you get close to the door over here, you're going to be ambushed by a group of drones, so take up a position by this wall over here, and then as soon as you see the door open, unload on them with your brute shot, and the Marines will mop up the rest. At this point, you no longer need the brute shot, so hang on to the dual plasma rifles, but go back for your carbine. And then you can also top off your ammo from this crate over here. Take out the entire next room with either dual plasma rifles or dual brute plasma rifles. There's even a dispenser by the door.
The elites have failed to protect the followers, and in so doing put all our lives at risk. No warrior can get his own.
I've got a fix on truth just outside this tower, Chief. There's an exit nearby. Hurry.
Usually that room isn't too hard as long as you stick to the left side and you've got the Marines with you. Then when you're ready, if you don't already have them, grab dual brute plasma rifles and ambush these two hunters. All you have to do is shoot them in their weak point on their back to stun them, and then just keep shooting them until they fall. The best way to dodge a hunter's melee attack is actually to jump straight over them.
My messengers now lead our fleets. They ask for your allegiance, and you shall give it.
You wouldn't believe the number of kill systems the Covenant are throwing down around me. Not to worry, it's pretty sloppy stuff. I guess they never expected a hostile intelligence to penetrate their network from the inside.
Well, it was nice not seeing them since the end of Regret, but the Jackal snipers are back. There are 4 of them in this area, and you might get zapped a couple times trying to do this, but head over to the right here where there's going to be a beam rifle dispenser. The Brute and Elites fighting over here should kill each other, but if any of them survive, take them out with plasma grenades and the carbine, and then grab yourself a beam rifle and take out the 4 snipers. The first one was in the raised platform and I shot him with the carbine. That's the second one. That's the third. And that's the last one. Then when they're all dead, be sure to take out the flying elites if they've survived, or even more rarely than that, the 2 hunters. The flying elites are no match for the beam rifle, and the hunters are no match for the beam rifle and plasma grenades. Then when the area is clear, arm your entire team with beam rifles. There should be plenty both from the dead Jackal snipers and from the 2 dispensers.
I appreciate it, sir.
And of course, make sure you swap out your carbine for any other weapon in order to trade with the Marine that already has a carbine. The carbine he gives you is actually overloaded with 120 rounds plus a full clip. There's going to be a single brute that ambushes you here. Just stick him with a plasma grenade or shoot him with a carbine. Both are very easy to pull off.
The Covenant just destroyed 2 of their own ships, and I'm hearing reports of small arms fire throughout their fleet.
Creatures of the Covenant, the path is broad and we shall walk side by side.
Slip space rupture. It's in amber clad.
Side
Hailing. No response. She's crashed into another tower ahead of our position. I'll keep trying to make contact, but I'm not registering any human vital signs.
Do a quick check to make sure you've got all your Marines with you, and then proceed across the light bridge. When you get to the other side, priority 1 is to locate and kill the Jackal sniper. Then with the Jackal sniper dead, you can mop up the rest of them just like you've been doing. Only thing you need to watch out for is grenades or berserk brutes that might kill the Marines. For this area, the only threat to you is berserk brutes, and they're not even so much a threat to you as they are to your Marines. So just shoot them before they can get close. Once again, the Marines are going to be a great help with their beam rifles.
Hey, anytime you want more, mate.
Then with everything taken out, proceed forward until you get a checkpoint right about here. When that happens, you immediately want to pull an about face and head back here where I'm going, because 2 flying elites are going to spawn, and if you don't have any Marines with you, this is the safest place to take them out with the beam rifle. This is the way you need to do it if you don't have any Marines with you. If you do have a bunch of Marines with you, they'll just shoot them for you. And I'll be honest, I really never get tired of seeing a bunch of Marines own a flying elite like that. Once the flying elites have been taken out, proceed to the next area. Now I like to make sure the Marines come with me, and while it's not entirely necessary to survive the mission, I'm not just going to abandon them if I could possibly use them. This area shouldn't give you many problems. The elites and brutes are going to be fighting amongst each other. Usually the fight comes out pretty even, and then just mop up the rest with the beam rifle. If any of the elites give you trouble, just snipe them. Once everything's dead, you're probably going to find that your beam rifle is running low on ammo, and it is extremely helpful to go back here to this dispenser to grab a fresh one. Then proceed to the next area and make sure all the Marines come with you. This is a lot of times easier said than done, so I'm just going to fast forward this because I had some problems here. There we go. That was way more difficult than it should have been, but once you've got it, proceed across the light bridge.
At this moment, the councillors gather on Halo to see the icon safely placed.
Rise, Black Brothers! Cast down the elites!
There are those who said this day would never come. What are they to say now?
Once the towers are cleared, we'll drive them from the lower districts.
It actually really helps if you don't shoot the drones here, because for whatever reason, I found that if you keep those drones alive, the fight between the drones and the flying elites will come out pretty even. If you shoot them, the flying elites will win every time, and they're a lot more dangerous. But anyway, the easiest way to tackle this room is to snipe everything. This is why you went back for a beam rifle from the dispenser, because if you were running low on beam rifle ammo, you would find yourself having a very bad time here. Once you take everything out and approach the exit doors, 2 brutes and 2 jackals are going to come out of them. I threw that grenade a little prematurely, hoping to stick a brute, but it didn't work so well. And then remember, jump over the brutes rather than trying to jump away from them. As you can see, it didn't work so well when I tried to do it the wrong way. And then before you move on, grab a fresh beam rifle from the dispenser. Even if you aren't running low, there's no sense not having a full beam rifle. And then, of course, make sure whatever Marines you have left are following you. This is, again, easier said than done, so I'm just going to fast forward this.
The elites are falling back to the Mausoleum. Fools! Their armor to give you nothing now.
Who would doubt the prophets? What have we foretold that has
It's go time!
In this area, the only enemies are going to be a panicking group of grunts, and they don't even fight back, and they're going to be getting the snot beat out of them by a pair of berserk brutes.
No point coming if you can't deliver the goods.
Take them all out with either the carbine or the beam rifle. There's plenty of dispensers in the area to replenish your ammo.
Cabron! There's one! Do 'em up! Hey, come on, we're gonna lose it!
And then, of course, when everything's taken out, make sure your Marines follow you to the next area. For this room, there's going to be 3 brutes, all with brute shots at the top of that ramp, so snipe them all before the air gets too saturated with brute shot blasts. Once again, more beam rifle and carbine ammo if you need it. For this area, the first thing you want to do is head over to the right here and finish off either the elite or the brute, depending on whichever one wins the fight. Then use the carbine to draw out the jackal sniper, or if you're lucky like I was, you can shoot him in the head when you didn't mean to. Whatever, I'll take it. When the jackal sniper is taken out, take up a position here and keep your eye on the doors over there. When they open, 3 elites are going to come out, but more importantly, trailing behind them is going to be a grunt with a fuel rod gun. Snipe him before he gets a shot off, and if he does get a shot off, the easiest way to avoid it is to get away from any nearby walls and just jump over it. Once that's all taken care of, you can just sit up here and snipe whatever you like. Just try to hang back so that the Marines don't jump down and get themselves killed. Wow, Bungie, that's some nice AI programming you got there. If any of the brutes go berserk and you aren't able to snipe them, just hop up on this mound here where they won't be able to get you, and then shoot them before they get to your Marines. This part's pretty easy. You're going to be ambushed by 2 cloaked elites with swords, but the active camo in Halo 2 is pretty easy to see, so either snipe them or stick them, your choice. Then take out the grunts with the carbine. Now, for most of this mission, I've been rolling with a carbine and a beam rifle. That's all about to change. Swap out your carbine and beam rifle in favor of a sword and a fuel rod gun. Use the sword to take out this entire room like so. Just assassinate the elite first thing, and then the grunts are going to be panicking and they won't even fight back.
Is anyone counting these?
Then once all 4 grunts have been taken out, you can move on to the next room where you're going to find a cloaked elite with a plasma rifle. If you haven't made any noise, you can easily assassinate him because he won't be facing you. Now if you use the sword for that entire room, it's probably going to be running low. Grab one from this dispenser here, and then swap it out for any other weapon, just so that it's sitting there, and then go back for the other one. There's a weird glitch here, and once you pass a certain line in this room where it says loading done, that dispenser is going to disappear, and you can't go back for it. There's also a spare fuel rod gun in here, so collect its ammo, because you're definitely going to need that later. Now normally this room is very challenging, but it's actually really easy and a lot of fun if you just use the sword and plasma grenades like so. There's going to be 2 elites and 4 grunts in the initial wave, and then 2 more elites and several more grunts are going to appear from the doors on the side of the room.
Quality kill, Chief!
Demon is here. One of us must die.
Don't go there.
As you approach the doors on the far side of the room here, 2 jackals and a brute are going to come out of them, so just blast them all with the fuel rod gun.
Who's keeping score?
Priority 1 here is the jackal sniper, but you should be able to take everything out with a few fuel rod gun blasts and a plasma grenade.
If we're going to catch Truth, we'll need to take a shortcut, straight through the Mausoleum. Look on the bright side. For now, they seem much more interested in killing each other.
Got another hostile! Here it comes!
Once that's taken care of, you can grab the jackal sniper's beam rifle and snipe the rest of them. Now this is one of those checkpoints in Halo 2 that I absolutely hate, because the only way to survive here is to already know what's coming and know that you need to make an about face here because you're going to be attacked by drones. But if you do move back in time, the drones are going to engage those grunts and elites over there, and they usually lose because of those shade turrets. Now, I got kinda lucky that grunt with the fuel rod gun hopped in the shade turret, but what you want to do is have your beam rifle ready and just snipe any grunts you see
I'll decide what's right for this guy.
in hopes of getting that grunt with the fuel rod gun before he gets a shot off.
I knew you'd be there.
When you approach these doors, 2 hunters and a bunch of Spec Ops grunts are going to come out. Blast them all to hell with the fuel rod gun. Don't worry about using your fuel rod gun ammo here, because there's more available from the grunt that had a fuel rod gun. So now I've got plenty. There's also a sword dispenser here, which I would recommend over a carbine.
You might consider sitting this one out.
So, this is the Mausoleum of the Arbiters, and it is the culmination of this mission. You've got a group of brutes on the left, a team of Spec Ops elites on the right, one of which has a fuel rod gun, not to mention the best song in the game playing in the background. If you've got a sword and a fuel rod gun like I recommended, this area is actually pretty easy. Take out all the Spec Ops elites with the sword like so. Whenever you get close to a Spec Ops elite, he'll roar and then pull out a sword and then charge you down. So use that opportunity to slice him with your sword to deplete his shields a little bit, and then stick him with a plasma grenade, which should be enough to kill him. Another option is to do those 2 actions in reverse. Stick him with a grenade and then slice him with the sword once his shields have been depleted. Then once the elites are taken care of, blast the brutes and the hunters with the fuel rod gun. You should have plenty of ammo, and you can pick up even more from the Spec Ops elite that had a fuel rod gun.
Hang on. I'm picking up 2 more transponders. It's the Commander and Johnson. They're closing on Truth's position, Chief. They'll need your help.
So this is probably the hardest fight in the mission. The doors back there are going to open, and in are going to come 2 Spec Ops elites, 1 counselor, and 2 cloaked elites. Normally, the active camo in Halo 2 is very easy to see, but this Mausoleum room is so dark that it's hard to spot the camouflaged elites. So, take up a position here and try as best as you can to blast the hell out of the camouflaged elites with your fuel rod gun. Watch your motion tracker, because sometimes they like to sneak up on you. If you're pretty sure you know where he's hiding, you can use your sword. Then, deal with the Spec Ops elites like I said before. Get close to them, they'll roar and pull out a sword, so either slice them with your sword and stick them, or stick them and slice them with your sword. Then just blast the last Counselor elite with the fuel rod gun.
This way, Chief.
And then you're finished. Congratulations. The mission ends when Cortana stops talking.
This isn't good. I am getting confirmed reports of flood leaving in Amberclad's wreckage. Let's get the index and find a way out of here before things get really ugly.
Split them up. One in each phantom.
The hopes of all the Covenant rest on your shoulders, Chieftain.
My faith is strong. I will not fail.
Let him be. The great journey waits for no one, brother. Not even you.